Hey, Dad, Dave Pizzaro here with the mensfamilylawcenter.com, and I've got two tips for you. And then we're going to go over the Dad's Action Pack real quick about what's involved and what you get when you sign up and get the Dad's Action Pack. Because, if you're a dad and you're fighting for child custody in court, you need help, and you know you need help. So I've got a course that's designed to help you at least be able to prepare your case and make an argument to the judge and put you in the best light possible. So tip number one is dads need to be recording artists. You need to really understand how important it is to keep track of like every little thing. And the more things that you can put in email and text messages, the better it is for you because you're creating a record that you could then use with the court on what you're doing and how you're being involved with the child and how you're co-parenting with mom. So when I say dads need to be recording artists, I'm not talking about illegal videotaping. I'm not talking about illegal recording. I'm not talking about illegal GPS recording on people's cars. Don't do that stuff. That's bad. Illegal stuff is bad. We don't do that. What we do is put things in writing and in text messages and in photographs to be able to prove that what we're saying is true. And that's what I mean when I say become a recording artist. So with that, we'll stay to the end and you'll get the second tip. And we're going to head over now to the Dad's Action Pack so you get an understanding of what it is that's involved in the program. It's only a $97 program. It's only going to take you about 90 minutes and it's broken up into 14 different units. So let me jump over there real quick. With the Dad's Action Pack, it's a 14-unit course and it's designed so that you can get through it in increments so that you don't have to like sit there for 90 minutes. You don't have to block out a chunk of time. You can do this in 10 minutes here and 15 minutes there so that you can take it, work on it, come back, do the next session so you'll learn what's going on. So obviously the first one's going to be the introduction. It's congratulations for taking action. And this is just really where I encourage you to keep going. The first lesson is the thing that like everybody needs to know because frankly, most guys have never been in court. Lesson number one is what to expect in court. What's it like when you walk in? How do you deal with the bailiff? How do you deal with the court clerk? This is the basics of just logistics. So then we get to lesson number two, and the goal is to prove your relationship with your child. Now, I know that you're all going to say like, oh, mom's going to tell court that I'm a great dad. And that's probably not totally true because the reality is custody equals money. And mom has a reason to want to say that she's the better parent. So you need to at least be able to go in and prove how good your relationship is with your child. If you just walk in and don't have a whole argument laid out, judge is going to be like, well, I'm going to believe mom. So that's why we go over, how do you prove your relationship with your child? Now, next up is once you're actually in court and you find out that like, oh, things aren't going the way that you want them to go, there's a way in which you can guarantee that you're going to lose in court. And a lot of guys fall into this and then they call me and they're like, fix it. And I can't fix it. Once you've done it, it's kind of hard to undo. Now we've got a lot of work if we're going to change the court's perception of you. And that's one of the reasons why I set out lesson number 3, which is how to guarantee you will lose in family court. There's one thing men do that just pretty much guarantees they're going to lose in court. And if we can avoid that one thing, your life is going to be a whole lot easier from the get-go. So lesson number 3 is know your law. A lot of times people think they know the law. They talk to their best friend who had a cousin who had a best friend who had a sister whose son. Don't be doing that. Know your law. Lesson number 4 is about knowing the law and how it applies to your case. Because one of the things is a little fact here can really change the way the law is going to apply to you. So you really need to know how the law is going to apply. Lesson number 5 is don't be a Google lawyer. I understand that you want to like Google things and you're going to get like the one answer that's going to give you what you want, but that's not necessarily correct. And that's why I say don't be a Google lawyer. You have to actually like do the research, do the consult. Don't be a Google lawyer means don't waste your time looking for the answer that you want. Look for the answer that is. The problem with many people is they go and they find the one guy on the internet who says what they want to hear, and then they think that's the law. And it's not always the law. So don't be a Google lawyer is lesson number 5. We dig into exactly how to do your research, what you're supposed to do. Lesson number 6 is, you have to show the judge why you're a great dad. And this is where we're getting into the real meat of it. And that's like, how are you going to show the judge who you are as a person beyond just walking in and going, I'm a great dad? Because I got to tell you, I'm a great dad may be true, but it doesn't tell the judge anything. And in lesson number 6, we kind of dig into exactly what it is you have to show the judge, and more importantly, how to show the judge. Lesson number 7 is 3 things to improve your credibility. And the most important thing in court is credibility, because judges will believe somebody and that's what they're going to go off of. They're going to make a decision based off of, do I believe this person or do I believe that person? And oftentimes in family court, it comes right down to like really very fine-tuned issues of who's more credible. And so everything you can do to increase your credibility is going to help you. And that's why lesson number 7 is important. Lesson number 8 is how to improve your support network. Frankly, a lot of guys come into my office and they don't have any friends anymore. All of their friends are off with their wives and their girlfriends and their boyfriends and their kids. And the reality is you're probably one of those guys who deferred to your girlfriend or your wife, and she was in charge of the social life. And so you didn't really have a lot of friends because all of your friends were her friends. And in the breakup, guess what? Her friends are going with her. And now you're out there all on your own, and you need to like rebuild your support network. You need to figure out how to get back to being a social person. And part of that is having friends and not overwhelming them with the drama of your case. So you have to remember that like having a social network doesn't mean that that's just the only thing you get to talk about is how bad the breakup is and what a horrible person your ex is. You got to remember how to redo that and how to make friends again. And that's why I cover how to rebuild your support network. It's really crucial. And one of the things is that I know a lot of guys aren't going to like to hear is go to therapy. You really need to go to therapy. You need to have a place to vent all of the emotions that's safe. And that's what therapy is for. Lesson number 9 is how to write a convincing declaration. And this is an important part because the declaration is one of those things that it's the first thing the judge is going to see about you probably. Odds are they're going to read about you before they're going to actually see you. So they're going to get paperwork, and if that paperwork looks good, well, then you look good. And that's why we have lesson number 9, which is how to write a declaration, because it's not just the what words do I put in there, but it's the logistics. How does it look on paper? So take a look at that one. Lesson number 10 is logistics. When you're headed to court to ask for something, you need to have thought through all of the options. So lesson number 10 is logistics. And it's one of those things where oftentimes men come in and they tell me, I want my 50% custody. And I'm like, okay, so where do you live? And they'd say like Long Beach, which is basically on the coast in California. And I'm like, okay, where does mom and the kid live? Riverside. Well, that's about 2 hours east of here in the desert. So how are you going to get that kid to school on the days when you have the kid if you're 2 hours away? See what I mean? We have to think through what it is we're asking for. And you have to think about what's the judge's question going to be. When you're asking for something, they're going to try and poke holes in everything that you want. And the more that you've prepared and gone in and thought about it, the better off you are. And that's what lesson number 10 is, as we go over the logistics of things. Lesson 11 is make it easy for the judge. You're asking this person to do something. How do you feel when somebody asks you to do something? If it's an easy thing, you say yes. If it's a hard thing, if it's your brother, you'll do it. If it's your brother-in-law, probably not. Second last is lesson 12, dress for success. I know in today's world where we're all very casual and things are very cool and quick, the reality is how you dress makes an impression. And when you're dressing for success and you go into court and you look professional and you look like you put some thought into it, the judge is going to be like, person actually has thought about this. It's going to increase their respect for you. And that's what I talk about in dress for success. And lastly, probably the one that's going to be the most useful to you, not just in court, but for the rest of your life, is lesson 13. It's speaking for success. And in this, I discuss how to become a good speaker and how to get over that fear, that anxiety when you have to speak in public. Most people have that fear. It's very natural. because you're on stage. Everyone's looking at you. It's a high stakes environment. There's a lot at risk. Time with your kids, custody. You need to go in and be as prepared as possible. And if you've gone in and you've done the homework and you learn how to speak, and so you're not stuttering, so you're not scared, because oftentimes scared and anxiety will read as uncredible, unreliable, untrustworthy. So that's why we want to have you as prepared as possible. And that's why lesson 13 is speaking for success in court and in life. Okay, guys, that's the basics of the Dad's Action Pack. It's going to take you between 80 and 90 minutes to like work through. There's some PDFs that come with it. I give you a sample declaration. I show you what it should look like. I show you a proposed order of when I say like make it easy for the judge, like what's that supposed to look like. The goal here is to equip you with the things you need to prepare your case so that when you're going into court, you have the greatest measure of success and the greatest likelihood of getting what it is you ask for. And lastly, my second tip, for those of you that made it this far, get the book Do Fathers Matter? What science is telling us about the parent we've overlooked. It's written by a guy named Paul Raeburn, Raeburn. It's a fabulous book. It's really, really informative. There's some good stuff in there. It'll empower you. And there's quotes in there that you can use when you're arguing to the judge about why you're an important part of your child's life. So listen, I hope you got something out of this. I'm really looking forward to working with you. I hope you take a look at the Dad's Action Pack and decide that you want to move forward. And even if you don't, I wish you the best of luck with getting your child and having the relationship with your kid that you deserve and that they deserve.